Greetings and salutations. This is the voice of Loquacious of Herd, bringing you his afterthoughts on My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, Season 7, Episode 9, titled Honest Apple. I heartily suggest that you find and watch the episode itself, sans commentary, before proceeding with either this Afterthoughts review or viewing my full reaction, which is hosted at the link in the description. Please support the official release. Be warned, this Afterthoughts review will contain spoilers for the episode itself. With that out of the way, on to the review. I was pleasantly unsurprised to discover that we are once again back to episodes which I find quite enjoyable on my first viewing, and even more enjoyable on later viewings. The episode sets up a conflict that feels both vaguely familiar, yet also somewhat new. It's exploring a facet of Applejack's character, a facet that is usually a personal strength, but that can become an interpersonal weakness, namely her honesty. Usually, Applejack is tactful when it comes to her opinions. Indeed, in seasons past, Rainbow Dash has occasionally been the voice of blunt, tactless honesty in situations where Applejack knows enough to keep her yap shut. So what will it take to get Applejack to wind up ignoring social niceties and trample over the feelings and opinions of others, all in the name of honesty? A fashion show, of course. We begin with Rarity putting up posters around Ponyville, with the help of Spike, of course, and right from the off we get one of those little touches of humor which ornament this episode so well. Spike just happened to be hanging around near Carousel Boutique when Rarity started looking for assistance. The blush and stammering agreement gives it all away. Spike's crush on Rarity is still going strong, and it seems likely that Spike might well lurk near the boutique on a fairly regular basis. Likewise, Pinkie Pie pops in, more or less at random, and with quite the random take on the poster. I was pleased to hear, apropos of absolutely nothing, that Pinkie has found a guitar and is interested in learning how to play this new instrument. Inserting an extra random Pinkie into an episode? Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. In this episode, it works well, adding an extra nudge of humor at appropriate times. But these flyers aren't advertising music lessons, but rather an upcoming fashion show that Rarity is hosting. Again, loving the development of the characters here. Rarity's gone from struggling to break into the fashion scene to a fashionista powerhouse who can easily secure the assistance of ponies like Hoity Toity and Photo Finish. Rarity's gone from contestant to host, from protégé to patron. Well, technically matron, I suppose. And being Rarity, she wishes to give back to the fashion community by helping get other up-and-coming young designers some needed exposure. Thus, the fashion show. Ponies will compete, experts will judge, and the winners will get a display rack at Rarity's boutique. This is a huge foot in the door for such new arrivals on the scene. It's also an excellent example of show, don't tell. By the time Spike is wistfully sighing about what a generous pony the element of generosity is, her actions and attitudes have already delivered that message loud and clear with poise and grace. So, how does Applejack fit into all this? Easy. Rarity wants her to be one of the judges. To quote the show,
What? 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 What?
What?
You already said that, Doug.
Applejack is right. This bears repeating. So why does Rarity think Applejack would be at all interested, or even remotely skilled, at judging fashion? Well, other than AJ's skills at dress-up from the whole Apple Jewel business back in Simple Ways, which is, as I may have mentioned indirectly in an earlier review this season, an example of a somewhat difficult or troubled episode in which romance features heavily. Rarity actually makes a good point. A lot of what gets featured on the runway isn't exactly the sort of thing which will necessarily become popular or which will sell. There must be an element of practicality to the new designs, sufficient so that the resulting clothes are wearable in public for some reasonable length of time without the necessity of some sort of maintenance staff or grave risk of the whole thing falling apart. Applejack has a definite sense of personal style. She knows what she likes, as evidenced by the many variations of her one singular hat that clutter up the hat and bows closet we saw back in Some Pony to Watch Over Me. She's not afraid to speak up, and most of all, AJ's honest. Thing is, I can see how Rarity thinks this could all work out. If Applejack lets other ponies, other judges, focus on the looks of a piece, and limits her own criticisms to only pointing out major structural design flaws that make the fashion works effectively unusable, or adds in suggestions about ways to streamline an existing design and make it more usable without sacrificing artistry, then she could make valuable contributions to a judging panel. It's that without sacrificing artistry part that will become key. Applejack is at first reluctant to get involved, but after a rather adorable incident when she helps Applebloom resolve the style versus practicality difficulties involved in Applebloom's experimentation with a new hat look, Applejack finds herself enthused about the prospect of helping other ponies by providing her honest opinions. So now the train wreck gets rolling. It was great to see Photo Finish and Hoity Toity again. It was also nice, I should mention, to have a second mention of Countess Coloratura again this season. I would love it if they brought back Rara. Lena Hall is awesome. If Rara returns, I also dearly hope that Lena Hall does another Facecam live reaction to the episode. If you haven't already, you should definitely check out Rara reacting to Rara. I shall put a link in the description below. It's super sweet. But back to this episode, and the return of Toity and Finish. They gossip with Rarity about Coco Pamel's career and her premiere showing in Manhattan. This is another wonderful example of the depth of the world building and the character growth for even minor secondary characters. I continue to be delighted by the numerous examples of such progressive storytelling that this show indulges in, and this season has been a doozy for such gems. Applejack's assessment of one of Coco's efforts? It's blunt, and not exactly flattering. It's also accurate, and on a functionality point, completely correct. Regardless of looks, ain't no pony going to go into a clothing store to buy a you-can-wear-it at disco ball. Or at least, certainly not enough ponies that would purchase such an outfit to justify its production for anything more than the fashion contest scene. I like how Photo Finish announces everything she does, up to and including fainting, which is apparently a thing she does quite often. With these first signs of trouble in paradise, it's off to meet the designers. First is Lily Lace, a unicorn who is, like, totally a valley girl. Her designs, from what we see, are probably the most traditionally fashionable of the three. Then there's Starstreak, an Earth Pony stallion with an extra short tail, a futuristic avant-garde focus, and a designer who enjoys brightly colored geometric designs. Also, that bizarre mane of his reminded me of Ruby Rod from The Fifth Element. Lastly, there's Inky Rose. She's a goth Pegasus of few words. I like her. The other designer judges get where these three contestants are coming from, their inspiration, their passion. However, given that none of them are motivated by either strict practicality nor apples, Applejack is, let's be nice and call it dismissive of their efforts. So already AJ is getting off on the wrong hoof with every pony. Instead of offering actual constructive criticism, encouragement to these budding designers to think on how ponies will wear their ensembles, on making sure that there is ease in donning these costumes, ease in moving about in them, and that they will be sturdy enough to be worn out and about, Applejack only poo-poos the inspiration and focus of the artists. The message AJ is sending is clear. Not only does she not get it when it comes to fashion, she doesn't think there's anything worth getting out of fashion in the first place. Applejack is encouraged by Rarity to continue to try to interject bits of practicality into the designs. But alas, those attempts wind up being something that only tears down the artistic work of the ponies, rather than encouraging them to build upon their visions. By the end of the session, Applejack is feeling good about things, but she's the only pony feeling that way. Rarity is now having more than a few second thoughts. I loved the brief interlude with Pinkie Pie. For that matter, I felt this episode incorporated the random silliness of Pinkie Pie in a very good way. She's having one of her slightly wild, or possibly manic, days, but her resulting interjections and contributions are helpful rather than disruptive. Kudos to the writers for that. Also, it is true that music can be a wonderful creative outlook. Rarity, is there anything you've got bottled up right now due to the current situation that you feel the need to express?
Sure.
Oh my. Yeah, Rarity isn't happy. Also, some pony needs to put her in a band with Maud. On to day 2. Looking over the near-final versions of the 3 contestants' efforts, we are shown 3 very different takes on fashion. Some lovely designs, and generally speaking, there is praise all around. Did I say all around? I meant from every pony but Applejack. She is literally destructive in her criticisms, even going so far as to physically rip feathers from Lily's hat after demanding that Inky Rose remove all unnecessary buttons from her decorated with buttons coat. But when AJ gets in the middle of Photo Finish and Hoity's argument about which of a pair of identical belts go best with Starstreak's design, that's when she finally takes it too far, announcing that fashion is ridiculous. Needless to say, none of the fashion horses present are pleased to have their calling and vocation summed up as worthless and deserving of ridicule. Hoity and Photo storm out, ditto Lily, Starstreak, and Rose. The fashion show is going down in flames. And as Rarity angrily weeps to Pinkie Pie, it is all Applejack's fault. Applejack defends her position, stating that these are her honest opinions. She really does find fashion ridiculous, so why should ponies be mad at her for bluntly calling them out on this point? Applejack isn't going to lie about all this. Rarity has a rebuttal prepared, in the form of Strawberry Sunrise. The pony, not the drink favored by Yang from Ruby. With Applejack in tow, Rarity asks Miss Sunrise honest opinion about apples. In short, Strawberry doesn't like them. They're not to her taste. Applejack, in response to this blasphemy, leaps to the defense of her family's favorite fruit.
You're right. Apples are better than strawberries.
Only if by better you mean better at being disgusting.
You'd better apologize.
Oh, I'm sorry that you actually bite into those tasteless, mealy, worm-filled things. Oh.
To sum up that exchange, Strawberry Sunrise is savage, and Applejack is now righteously pissed. To which Rarity pointedly mentions confusion as to why AJ should be upset with Strawberry just voicing her honest opinion. Well, Applejack has plenty of reasons why it's okay for AJ to be upset by this. Sure, Strawberry Sunrise doesn't like apples, and that's fine, but to be so brutally dismissive and insensitive to all the hard work and effort that an apple farmer like AJ puts into making as delicious and nutritious a food is hurtful and insulting.
Oh boy.
And AJ gets it. I liked how Rarity was all about teaching Applejack the importance of tact, and of considering the feelings of others before expressing a strongly held opinion, as a good thing in its own right. Rarity had already given up on the whole fashion show thing. She just wanted to make sure that AJ learned her lesson. Of course, for AJ, just learning that lesson wasn't enough. She needed to try to repair the damage she had done. So it's off to round up Photo Finish and Hoity Toity, the latter of whom is, I must say, remarkably chill when AJ steals the photo's palanquin. Then again, Hoity's a pretty chill pony most of the time. AJ also rounds up Lily Lace, Starstreak, and Inky Rose. Applejack apologizes to the lot of them and asks that they return to Rarity's fashion show. And I like how Photo Finish rebuts by asking AJ if she still thinks fashion is ridiculous. The short answer is yes. Applejack still doesn't get fashion, but she finds a way to express herself and her opinions that isn't hurtful or degrading to others. AJ might not get fashion, but she does get that it's important to other ponies, including her good friend Rarity, and that even if AJ is pretty clueless about it all, she can appreciate all the hard work and dedication that others put into it. That's good enough for them all. So, provided AJ will untie the contestants, they can get back to making sure that the show, as they say, will go on. Again, great use of Pinkie Pie to distract Rarity for an hour, and in short order, we're at the fashion show. 3 very distinct looks, all of them stylish in their own unique ways. And the decisions? Uh-oh, 3-way tie. Rarity, Hoity Toity, and Photo Finish all choose different contestants. This leaves Applejack in the position of tiebreaker. In a pleasing counterpoint to one of the lessons in Rainbow Falls, here we see that sometimes choosing not to decide really is both a possible decision when faced with a problem, and it can even be the correct one. The things about fashion which AJ values? Well, all 3 contestants had worked hard and given it their all. Further, by casting her own vote to make it a 3-way tie for first place, Applejack allows Rarity to indulge her generous nature even further. For rather than just having one new designer showing in Carousel Boutique, Rarity now has 3 new names in her shop. All in all, I felt this episode did a good job all the way through. The conflict felt nicely conflicted, the resolution was tidy, the lessons learned and the takeaways from the experience were on par with similar slice-of-life episodes, and there was plenty of humor scattered throughout. And I do love me some humor. If you wish to see my full reaction to My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic Season 7, Episode 9, titled Honest Apple, the link, as I mentioned earlier, is in the description. Feel free to leave any comments or likes for that reaction here on this Afterthoughts review. And until next time, as always, kindly remember, y'all are awesome. Stay awesome.